Hello everyone, Andy here, and here's what you can look forward to in today's episode. In today's episode, in Team Season Preview 12 out of 32, I was joined by Kansas City Chiefs fans Brad Symcox and David Figgins as we preview their upcoming season. Brad talks about their draft picks,
but I think the Josh Simmons one was very much a surprising one.
David talks about Mahomes' weapons for this season.
And I know we're going to get onto it, but I think that both the backs, the running backs, and the wide receiver core is probably the deepest I've seen it as a Chiefs fan.
And both David and Brad predict their team's overall record in our win-loss tie segment. Hope you all enjoy.
I'm not sure what Dave's doing there, but
I thought we were getting a show there, Dave.
Hello and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. I am, as ever, your host, Andy Davis, and we're here for another team's season preview. And this time we are covering the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning AFC champions. And today we've got two returning guests. Both are well known on the podcast by now. Both are resident Chiefs fans on the show. First of all, our first returning guest is Brit Chief, otherwise known as Brad Symcox. Brad, how are you?
I'm very good, mate. How's things?
All good. Yeah, all
good. All good.
Yeah, it's that time of year where you want it all to start. We're currently at a time of recording just days away from the first preseason game happening. It's that time of year where you get very excited about the season beginning.
Yeah, it's very much getting excited now, isn't it? It's the camps have started, and it's you're getting a good look at the players, and that's really good. I can't wait.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I say I can't wait. I'm preparing to be disappointed by my own team, but as a league in general, I'm looking forward to that. I think there's so many storylines. I think I'm hoping it'll be a good season. But yeah, no. Either way, it will be. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it a lot. Just getting Sundays back and just getting. For both sports, both footballs I follow, both not currently going on, and yeah, just have that Sunday where you can do something in the morning, and then you've got from 1 p.m. you've got the Premier League starting, and then you got that little crossover at 6 p.m. and then you've got the NFL until midnight. So yeah, can't wait for it. Well, our other guest is another Chiefs fan who's also a returning guest on the show. It's Dave Figgins. David, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I work in a school, so we've just broke up, so I've got a nice 6 weeks off now. Yeah, it's lovely. Nice. It's absolutely lovely. So yeah, I'm doing all right. Yeah.
Well, I can see you're wearing a Chiefs jersey, and I want to ask you. I can see 11. Is that Alex Smith, or is that Marquez Valdes-Scantling? Or what's he got on?
Oh, it's Smith. It's got to be, hasn't it?
I mean,
yeah. The thing for me is, and you can probably tell this is quite worn. I really like wearing this jersey because it kind of signifies that I'm not just a bandwagon jumper, and that I have actually been a Chiefs fan when they were nowhere near as good as they are now. So yeah, I like wearing this jersey.
It's a cross to bear at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
You must get that quite a lot, because certainly as a Dolphins fan, I don't get anything like that. I don't get anyone calling me a Corey Hunter, but it must be like Patriots fans' experience for years. It must be the same thing in terms of that. Like, people just assume that you got into sport recently, you picked the best team, but actually you can say you followed it for a lot longer, both of you.
Yeah. What, you kind of plead your case, don't you? You plead your case a lot, don't you, Dave? And it's like
100%.
They don't believe you at the end of the day.
The thing is that I always make that caveat. So if there's ever like a time where I'm introducing that I'm into the NFL and somebody says, "Oh, what team do you follow?" I always go, "I'm a Chiefs fan," but and then there's always that caveat afterwards. Like, I've been a Chiefs fan for a long time before Patrick Mahomes was.
Yeah.
I get that as well. I do get that as well.
Well, let's head into the Chiefs and their ins and outs, or current off-season as in general. So we saw many players leave the team, the likes of Carson Wentz, Samaje Perine, DeAndre Hopkins, McCall Hardman, who, of course, caught a winning touchdown pass in a Super Bowl in Vegas. Other players, including Justin Reed, Justin Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, Josh Uche, as well as the likes of Derek Nady. And then players you brought in, the likes of tight end Robert Tonyan, running back Elijah Mitchell, formerly of the 49ers, Gardner Minshew, Mike Edwards, Janarius Robinson, amongst many others, including Robert Rachel. And also you traded away offensive lineman Joe Tooney to the Chicago Bears for a 4th-round selection in next year's draft. And speaking of the draft, in this year's draft, you took in total 7 players, and the top 3 taken were tackle Josh Simmons, 32nd overall in a trade via the Eagles, Omar Norman Lott, the DT out of Tennessee, 63rd overall, and then 66th overall via a trade with the Titans. You took Louisville defensive end Ashton Gillott. Now, we'll go to you first, Brad. What's your take been on the Chiefs' overall offseason?
It's been slow and steady, I suppose. I think the drafts at the minute aren't as exciting for Chiefs fans right now because obviously we're always either picking in the late 30s, in the first round. So it's not something that kind of excites us enough. But I think the Josh Simmons one was very much a surprising one. And the fact that he dropped down as far as he did because of his injury, I think Brett Veach, it was just too tempting for him to just select somebody like Simmons, who is a phenomenal player. But obviously he had a horrific injury with his patella, wasn't he? With his patella tendon. So, it's been steady away. I've been quite quietly optimistic with a lot of the moves that have been going on. I didn't like the fact that we lost as I suppose the kind of like the real kind of veteran presence in the offensive line, but I think the way that they've patched it up, and I think the fact that they're really relying on the fact that they've not really brought somebody in with such a big name, especially for like left tackle. I think they're still going to be looking at Kingsley Sumatia. I think I'm saying that right. And probably using him maybe as the left guard position. And bringing in somebody like Simmons and kind of hopefully praying to the fact that left side is going to be sorted this time, because it was very much an open wound, I think, especially from the Super Bowl, obviously, which we'll get into. But I think the moves have been quietly optimistic, solid moves, and just bringing back some of the old faces as well. And I mean, bringing Kareem Hunt has obviously signed his 1-year deal as well, which is good. Really like the fact that he came back and really kind of settled into the team straight away. And he was very much somebody we lent on a lot last season in the run game. And I think we've got a good kind of nucleus of the team there, right there, and signed quite a few of them back. Really, really impressed with how Veach has been going on. I'm looking forward to seeing how they all gel now.
I think in a way you kind of don't want your team to make splashes in the off-season. I think that's a sign you've already got your team settled. I mean, how many times do you see a team say they've won the off-season and then what happens? They win a handful of games and I'm not sure what Dave's doing there. But
I thought we were getting a show there, Dave.
For those audio listeners, Dave just got to get something, but all you could see was just his waist lower down. So we almost got a X-rated across
family
the
show.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just shutting the window.
Where was I going with this? That's put me off. We had Bears fan Luke on earlier this off-season with the Bears season preview. He talked about winning the off-season, and to be honest, if you're winning the off-season, then you've got a lot of holes to fill. Whereas, haven't seen the Eagles make too many off-season splashes. Being Super Bowl champions, they don't need to. And I think we see it with many sports. I'm going back to football again here in Liverpool, like I have done a lot recently. We didn't buy anyone, and really last year in a transfer window, and we won the league, and the same thing happened 5 years before. So I think sometimes, it was certainly the case of the Chiefs, it's just keeping the most important players there, because you've still got Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Mahomes, Andy Reid as a coach, and many others. And I think you've not lost any big names, and equally you've not signed any big names. So really, you'd almost, I think sometimes you may have to buy players to make up for players leaving, important players. But I think for the Chiefs' case, I can't think of anyone really who's that important, really, in the grand scheme of things, who has left. And I could be wrong here. Maybe Joe Tooney is the exception because of his leadership, his many Super Bowl appearances and rings, and being protecting Mahomes' blind side. But apart from that, I think there's not been, I don't think, Dave, too many massive, I think, franchise affecting departures from the Chiefs this offseason.
Joe Tooney is obviously the biggest miss, but the thing is obviously last season that was stunted anyway because he was shifted out to left tackle, which he obviously was serviceable at, but was nowhere near as effective as he is at left guard. So when we shifted him out there, you're losing a Pro Bowl tackle at left guard to get a serviceable a Pro Bowl guard, sorry, to get a serviceable tackle. So I think if you're averaging out where if say Simmons does play and his upside is fantastic, I think our offensive line's better this year. And I know we're going to get onto it, but I think that both the backs, the running backs, and the wide receiver core is probably the deepest I've seen it as a Chiefs fan this year. So I think, I think Brad's probably summed it up perfectly. To be honest, it's not been spectacular, but it's been slow and steady, and I guess the Chiefs always change it up every year. Like the way that they play, the game plan, the schemes, it always changes every year. This is the wonderful thing that we've got with Andy Reid and his coaching staff is that it's never the same. And I think the heavy defensive sort of scheme that we had last year, because that's what we lent on, I think that's going to change again this year. So yeah, I'm pretty satisfied. I'm not blown away, but I'm absolutely satisfied with how the off season's gone.
Well, that's a good segue into our next talking point, is about potential players not being available for parts of the season. This includes what was originally going to be potentially two players. Xavier Worthy was originally arrested for alleged assault of a family member, which was allegedly his girlfriend. But then it seems like now that the charges have been dropped. So I don't know what's happening with him. He may not receive a suspension. But one player that may well receive a suspension is Rashee Rice. Now, this stems back all the way from last off-season where he was involved in a multi-car crash, and he's been as recently as the 17th of July, which is at time of recording only about 9 days ago, he was given a 5-year sentence on probation and 30 days of jail time that can be served during the 5 years, which I'm sure they'll find a way to do it in the off season. But the league can still suspend him. And I think there's definitely there's definitely talk, and I think it's likely that he's going to be getting a suspension. Now, how many games suspension he gets, we don't know. Whether it's 2 games, 4 games, 9 games, 7 games, we don't know. Now, again, I don't think personally that suspension will hurt the Chiefs too much in terms of making Super Bowls or making playoffs or going far in the playoffs, because I think there's enough games there. But what I think could happen, I'll get your thoughts on it, Brad and Dave, is how it might affect the division, because you've won this division 7-8 years in a row now, but the Broncos and Chargers in particular are getting stronger. The Broncos and Chargers both made the playoffs last year. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh's done a great job at the Chargers, and Bo Nix had a great first year. They're getting closer every year, and the Broncos did finally beat the Chiefs after a long 16-game drought, not beating the Chiefs. And I think, in a game of narrow margins where, we will get into the Super Bowl hangover in a minute, but there's no guarantee the Chiefs will be. I think they will be, but there's no guarantee they will be good again, or as good again. And it could be a case where you see the Chiefs go a little bit like this, and the Chargers and Broncos maybe catch them up a little bit. So I think if you're missing Rashee Rice, maybe 3 or 4 games, and maybe you lose 1 game potentially as a result of that, or maybe 2 games, that could potentially be the difference between having the 2nd or 3rd seed as division champions, or being the 5th or 6th seed and having to go on the road for the majority of games. Now, Mahomes has won on the road, but obviously that's only been 1 season. Normally, he has had the advantage of being at home. So, yeah, Brad, for you, obviously I think we know suspension's coming, but how impactful do you think it could be in terms of trying to win the AFC West this season?
It's an interesting one because, Rashee Rice, he already broke out as a phenomenal player anyway. And I think a lot of Chiefs fans are very excited the way that, from what they've seen of him already and the connection he's got with Mahomes. But if you got to remember, we lost him week 4, I think it was, last season, and we didn't have him for the rest of the year, basically. So the Chiefs have obviously learned how to kind of handle that, and we did have obviously some help with the likes of Hollywood Brown and stuff like that, coming in. But I think going back to what Dave was saying, I think the Chiefs have almost kind of got a sight on that a little bit, because I think they've got about 7 wide receivers on the roster at the moment anyway. Whether they cut them during the preseason or not, I don't know whether they thin that out. But you've got some good players there. They've obviously brought in, I think it's Jalen Royals, who was drafted in. He's I think he's a 4th round talent, that lad. He's got some upside. Yes, he's a rookie, and it's not normally something that Andy Reid likes to use rookies. But I think if we can plug somebody like that in, who's a bit more of an unknown, and get him working with Mahomes again, it would be it'd be interesting to see what he can bring to the table. But we've got the likes of Remigio. He's we've seen flashes of him in the wide receiver room. Another great player, but also we've got Hollywood Brown coming back as well for another year. So I don't think the impact is going to be from, or the loss of impact is going to be from Rashee Rice. It'd be great if we had him, obviously, but I think the key thing is Xavier Worthy, because we really relied on him a lot towards the end of last season, and he really started coming out of his shell a little bit more. He started getting a bit more rapport with Mahomes. So I think I think if we lost him and Rice at the same time, it might have a bit more of a knock-on effect for those. Maybe I'm suspecting it's probably going to be about 4 games for each of them. But again, that's just speculation. I think a lot of people in the kingdom are obviously thinking it sounds about right, a 4-game suspension, especially for Rashee Rice. Whether Worthy gets one or not, who knows? But I think if we can somehow manage that and offset that a little bit sometime, maybe one serves 4 games and then later down the line the other one serves the other 4, it might work like that. I don't know, but hopefully, and like I said, as Dave says, the wide receiver room can probably drag us through those 4 to 8 games, but I would very much rather have them both on the field at the same time, because I think with them, I think this Chiefs offense will be explosive.
And Dave, your thoughts on that? Because Kelsey, who may well be in his last season or two, especially if you go on and win the Super Bowl this year, but he can't. His numbers are diminishing year by year. Still had an impact in that season, but you think about how he performed in the Super Bowl. I know the whole team played badly, but you got to think, Mahomes can't keep relying on just having Kelsey as that safety blanket. So, yeah, kind of how do you feel about those 2 players potentially being suspended and kind of the impact on the AFC West?
I think, to be honest, I'm not as worried about Xavier Worthy. I think that's probably been and gone. That's what it feels like anyway. That's what it seems like. And the Rashee Rice thing, Brad mentioned it, that we missed him for the vast majority of last season anyway. And the fact is, we're going to have Hollywood Brown for a full season, which we didn't have last season. And if he can get anywhere near to where he was, or at least the potential where he was beforehand, we're getting a wide receiver 1.5. Maybe not a wide receiver 1, but above a wide receiver 2. And I think if you couple that with Smith-Schuster's back, you've got granted he's not been fantastic, but Sky Moore, which you can use on jet sweeps and in the running game. But then the running back, I touched on it earlier, the running back room that we've got, every single one of our running backs, aside from maybe Pacheco to a certain extent, is a catching running backs as well. So you've got Elijah Mitchell, as well as Kareem Hunt and the rookie that we got in the 7th round, Smith. All of those are all ones that we can use empty sets with and catch out the backfield. And I think that will have its own effect in terms of, because we know that Reid is the master of game planning, and he's going to know going into the season that he's probably going to lose Rice for, I would think, probably 6 to 8 games. Wow. And that he would game plan around that. So I'm not really worried. I'm not really worried. And if anything, maybe I'm just looking at it as through rose-tinted glasses. If anything, Rashee Rice comes in week, say 8, which is not week 8, sorry, week 9, because he'd have, say, 8 weeks off. Week 9 is Buffalo, and it's just before the bye. You get Rashee Rice back after the bye, and we've got a clearer run. And granted, our tougher games are in the first half of the season, but I think you get Rashee Rice back in, and he has a good run up until the playoffs. I think that's a positive. That can only be positive.
Do you think in those 8 games, you mentioned the tough, we'll get on to your predictions later on in the schedule, but you mentioned these tough games. You've got the Eagles, Chargers, Ravens, Lions, Commanders, Bills, and it goes back to what I was saying before. Like, if he is out for 8 games, I know you had him missing last year, but you weren't great last year. You're one of 4 teams to not have 30 points or more in a regular season game, and the other 3 teams were terrible. So the Chiefs weren't great. I know they made the Super Bowl, which is all that matters. You won games, but the Chiefs showed signs of being weak in the offense, and they showed struggles. And those 8 games, there's missing 8 games, and you lose maybe 2 or 3 more than you would have if he was there. Could be a massive difference when it comes to not only even just winning the division and being between the 1st and the 4th seed, and then or not winning the division at all because you lost those 2 games and Broncos and Chargers won maybe 2 more, and then so yeah, for me, I think it could potentially, it might not matter because Chiefs lost Tyreek Hill and made 3 straight Super Bowls, so it might not matter at all what they do, because Mahomes has proved in his career and Andy Reid that they can lose players and be absolutely fine. But the Chiefs weren't great last year, which I know doesn't really matter too much because they still made the Super Bowl. But yeah, I do feel like potentially missing, especially the games against the Lions and the Ravens, 2 really strong teams that could easily be playing in the Super Bowl this season. You lose those games and you go into the final week and you could be a game behind Broncos, could be level with the Broncos. That can make all the difference those first 8 games.
I think on that, the thing that gives me confidence is what I said earlier, is that last season we weren't this blockbuster offense, but we relied so heavily on dinking and dunking in the offense, and relying a little bit more on the run game than we would normally do. And I also think injuries absolutely decimated us last season. There were injuries in every single department, and not that that's an excuse because every team has injuries. But I think that the game plan was different last season, and I just have an itchy feeling that it's going to be more offensive this season than it was last season, because I think we've got more on offense than we did last season.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. And I think the Chiefs have proved that. Never write them off, because they've made 7 straight AFC Championship games for a reason, and I do feel like never write them off with your peril, especially along with Mahomes, Kelsey, and Andy Reid there. Now I have to ask, because this has been something I ask every year to the runners-up of the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl curse, and particularly the runners-up jinx. Now, you did lose the Super Bowl one year, and you still made the AFC Championship.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks for reminding us.
Teams have lost recently and had terrible years afterwards. The 49ers 2 years ago made the Super Bowl, lost to yourselves. And then they went 6-11 the following year. They also went 6-10 after making the Super Bowl against you guys in the 2020 season. The Rams went 13-3, made Super Bowl 53, and went 9-7 the following year. Panthers went 6-10 after losing the Super Bowl to the Broncos. And then the Patriots did win 11 games after losing in the 2007 season Super Bowl, but they didn't make the playoffs. So, you didn't make the Super Bowl after winning it last time. Is there any fear for you that could have some sort of overpowering effect on this season?
No, I think the fact that the way they bounced back after Super Bowl 55 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think that was key to me. That straight away when the Chiefs literally tore apart that offensive line and said, well, let's rebuild it and let's go again, see if we can get somewhere with it. I think that was the thing that kind of quashed that that curse rumor of losing the Super Bowl. I mean, we were terrible in that Super Bowl as well. So if I'm being honest, though, I think this Super Bowl where the Eagles won, I've never seen a team capitulate as quickly and as easily as what the Chiefs did. Dave will probably have the same feeling, the sinking feeling straight away that I always thought that we were going to get back into it because we'd seen it so many times. But as the game was progressing and the way that the Eagles just had their talons literally gripped around the Chiefs' throats, it was just like, this is terrible. This is something needs to be changed here. And I don't know whether it was the mindset of the Chiefs thinking that they were just going to breeze it because they'd almost kind of tripped over themselves a little bit through the course of the season. That I think they just thought they were just going to rock up and that was going to be it. They were going to be history makers. And there's been reports recently that I think it was Schrager had actually said that Mahomes straight after the Super Bowl was in the gym the very next day. He wasn't kind of licking his wounds and he wasn't like, crying over spilled milk over it all. I think he was just like, right, I know what I have to do. I know I have to better myself. And if you look at him now, I mean, we've seen the first pictures of Mahomes in a lot of these interviews at Chiefs camp at the minute. And honestly, he looks a different player. He looks completely different. Like he's slimmed down. He's almost bulked up in a bit more muscle on him as well. He's got more of a jawline now. He's looking like he's like ready, and he's cut his hair as well, which is another big thing. So it looks like he means business, and I'm not concerned that the Chiefs are going to kind of get down in the feelings about the fact that the way that the Eagles absolutely controlled that Super Bowl and the way the Chiefs played as well. I think it was a combination of two things. I think the Chiefs were playing poorly. I think the Eagles were playing phenomenally well and fully deserved that Super Bowl anyway because it was they had a game plan. They knew exactly what they were doing and they just I mean, we shouldn't even have scored 22 points if I'm being honest. But Super Bowl hangover, I don't think it'll be a thing for the Chiefs. Like I said, I think from the lessons learned from Super Bowl 55 and the following year doing what they did, I think it's fine for the Chiefs. I think.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Brad's saying, and not just so the whole thing with the fight and determination with Mahomes. I feel that's with Travis Kelce as well. I think he probably had it in his head, become a three-peater, make history, ride off into the sunset with Taylor Swift, and when that didn't happen, he's come out in multiple interviews and said it was one of the easiest decisions of his life to come back. He was never even considering retiring after that Super Bowl. So I think that determination, it bleeds through the team. It absolutely bleeds through the team, and there's nobody that's going to be in that team that's going to think that because they're at the Kansas City Chiefs that they can take it easy, because the whole idea, and this is Mahomes Reed top down, is that they want to be the best ever. They want to be the best dynasty ever. They want to be the best, considered the best team ever. They want to break all the records. They're striving for that greatness that not a lot of teams and players get to. And I think to do that, there's that quiet determination. And I think that some of the teams that you've listed there don't necessarily have the combining factors that the Chiefs have got to be able to be that repeat team that come back year after year after year after year.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, in a way, it's sort of like, well, maybe you're like poking the bear or you're shaking the proverbial bee's nest. I think you've seen, even when they won the Super Bowl, I think Mahomes' second one, they were already looking ahead to next year. The determination is there to see, and I think you get a Chiefs team angry after a loss like that. And I think, we mentioned Kelce. If it is his final year or two, he'll want to end on a high. And I think in a way, you'd have more chance of winning it now than you would have if you'd won the Super Bowl in New Orleans in February. I think, in a way, everyone's been mocking the Chiefs, saying, "Oh, they were terrible, they're done," which happened with Patriots all the time. But all the media sort of criticism, and it's just going to fuel the Chiefs. And in a way, it's like I said before, it's like don't poke the bear, because now they're going to be even more determined next season. Brad, you mentioned Mahomes being at the gym. Obviously, that shows a real determination to get back. Michael Jordan-esque, basically. It really is Michael Jordan-esque.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's Jordan-esque. And I took it personally. I think that's Mahomes. That's Mahomes.
I've got a feeling on it as well, though, because it's almost like the Patriots way in a way as well. I hate saying that because I've always hated the Patriots for a very long time, but I suppose Tom Brady and he heard a lot of the talk of he's too old now, and he even used to say it on the sidelines: "You're too old. You're too old. You shouldn't even be here." That kind of thing. So, if Mahomes is getting told he's got a dad bod and he's too fat and he's too rich for the game and stuff like that, then it's going to feed into that kind of ego where he's going to use that as the fuel. And I just feel like we're going to see a completely different Mahomes this year. Just seeing how he's approaching this and how he's taking it on the chin. We got absolutely stuffed by the Eagles, but we also got absolutely stuffed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we're still in this dynasty period with this Chiefs team, which is, it's crazy to think that you can get stuffed so royally in 2 Super Bowls, and still people are seeing you as the team to beat and the dynasty. So all the talk you get from the talking heads and the media over in America that it's now the end of the Chiefs dynasty. It might well be. It might be something that they have a few years where they're just trying to find themselves a little bit more. But I don't get that feeling. I don't know if Dave's the same, but I don't get that feeling where the Chiefs are going to let it go. And it's a valid point what Dave was saying about Kelsey. Kelsey could have just rode off into the sunset with his millions, with his Taylor Swift on his arm, and lived a happy life. But there's that grit, there's that determination, there's that thorn in the side right now that it's like we need to correct this wrong. And it just feels like that. It feels like it resonates from the leadership in the team, even from the likes of Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, that they want to correct what went wrong there. Yeah, it's not going to be a 3-peat year, which would have been absolutely phenomenal. It would have looked great on Netflix as well with a happy ending. But I just feel like this team still feels like it's got unfinished business. And they know, I think they secretly know that was probably one of the worst performances throughout the whole season, where they were, I think I read a stat somewhere, they were 12-0 with I think it was 1-score games all throughout the season, which is a phenomenal stat. If you think, if any of those games went either side into a loss, the Chiefs probably wouldn't have got the 1 seed. So, it's how you look at it now. I think there's been a lot of inward thinking from the players and the coaching staff, and even from Brett Veach probably as well, to go, do you know what, I need to sort out that left side, because it was playing with Mahomes' head for the rest of the year, and hopefully they've sorted that out. And Simmons is injured, but I think they got was it Jalen Moore in the 49ers? It was a bit more of a backup. It was just, so they are addressing it, and hopefully we get it right and move on from that terrible Super Bowl loss.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, I mentioned before a little bit, but I think the fact that Mahomes has never had a season where he's been knocked out earlier than the Conference Championship, I think says a lot about,
all the time in the Conference Championship as well.
Yeah, he's never missed one, has he?
Yeah, both. So the 2 times that he's lost in the Conference Championship, they've both been in overtime as well. So
is it Bengals and Patriots, that one?
Yeah,
that's right. I remember the Patriots one overtime. I forgot that the Bengals one went to that as well. I thought in megaliths at times. So that's even more of an incredible stat, really, when you think about it. Well, let's head on to our final section, which is going to be our win-loss-tie segment. So for those who don't know, who are watching or listening for the first time, each fan that comes on predicts their team's record by going through each game and answering with a win-loss-tie answer. Now, the Chiefs went 15-2 in 2024. Now, Brad, sadly not David, but Brad, you were on the show last year, and you did predict your team's record. Do you by chance remember what your prediction was 12 months ago?
Oh, was it 14-3 or something?
It was 12-5, which actually was the second game in a row you said that prediction. So
wow.
Yeah, not far off. Only 3 wins off, but we still made the Super Bowl. I think I can't remember whether you said you were going to win the Super Bowl. I'm assuming you did. You weren't far off. Right. So week one, we'll go to you first, David. On the road, I say on the road, neutral site, technically a road game against the Los Angeles Chargers. First of all, are either of you go into this game?
No, I wish I was going to Brazil.
Yeah,
it would be good, wouldn't it? It would be good.
No, I won't be going to this one. I went to the one last year with a banner drop, which was week one, which was phenomenal against the Ravens. That was a crazy game. So sad I'm not going to this one, but like I said, Brazil, it's a bit too far for me.
Yeah, it is that little bit further than just taking a 3-4 hour train or car ride to Tottenham Hotspur or Wembley. It's not quite and even it's probably easier to get to America than it is Brazil in a way. It's probably just as long to get to Brazil. I've applied for media creds. Now I didn't get them last year, so I don't think I'll get them this year. But you never know. You could see me there, but I don't think that. I got a wedding, so I probably should prioritize the wedding over going to watch American football in Brazil. But so yeah, Brad, for you, Dave, for you, week one, Chargers, win, loss, or tie?
Precedent shows that we win these games, so I've got it as a win. I'm sure it was the Chargers we beat in the Mexico game a few years back. Am I right in thinking that, Brad?
I think it was. Yeah, it was a good few years ago now. Yeah,
and yeah, so I can only see a Chiefs win. I think the Chiefs will travel and show up well, as they always do. I mean, we do that when the Chargers are at home anyway. So I can't see anything other than a Chiefs win.
Okay, now Brad, for you, week two is a rematch of Super Bowl 59, and you're taking on at home for the first time this season. You're home against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Against the Super Bowl champs, which is it's a bit of a thorn on the side. I think we'll give them a good game, but I think this is going to be a win for the Eagles. I think they had our number in the Super Bowl, very much so. And I think Jalen Hurts' tail is up now as well. I think this will be a close game, but I think the Eagles they'll show why they're Super Bowl champions.
Definitely. Well, in week three, Dave, the Chiefs are taking on the road the New York Giants.
This is probably the easiest layup out of the schedule. I think it's a night game as well. Pretty sure it's Sunday night football. So I think it's a layup win.
Okay, so then week four is a rematch of the game you saw in person last year, Brad. You're taking on at home the Baltimore Ravens. Win, loss, or tie?
Oh, this is the one that I've been flip-flopping on because when I saw it on the schedule, I was like, oh, are they going to be wanting revenge, the Ravens? Are they going to be wanting, because we won by a toenail basically in the week one game last time. I don't know. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I feel like we're going to lose that one as well.
No, Brad, come on.
I feel like we're going to lose it. I don't know what it is. Whether it got into my head last time that Lamar Jackson. I mean, I watched that guy play in week one, and honestly, when I say that I've never seen a more elusive quarterback in front of my eyes before, he was unreal. And to only just lose like that, I think it's just going to stoke the fire a bit more. But seriously, the Chiefs players were running around like headless chickens trying to catch him. He's a phenomenal player, and I never realized how good he was until I actually saw him in the flesh. So it's kind of sticking in my head a little bit more. So I'm probably going to go with another loss, I'm afraid. I'm really sorry.
Well, week five, back to you, David, is a road game against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I feel like I've got all the easier fixtures here, especially when we see what's coming for week 6 as well. That's another win, and I'll get us back to 3-2.
You keep the win column going.
Yeah. So that's a Monday night football game as well. So I I really like Trevor Lawrence, and I feel like at some point he is going to turn it on. I feel like he's a little bit like maybe like a Peyton Manning, where didn't necessarily have an unbelievable start to his career, but will like grow into being a really good quarterback. So, with that said, yeah, another win for the Chiefs.
Well, I think as UK fans, a team that is in London every year playing a game, I think we all, unless you're maybe a fan of the Titans, Texans, or Colts, I think we all want the Jags to do well in a way. Obviously not at the expense of our own teams, but I think certainly as a team who plays every year at Wembley, I think we all want the Jags to do well. I feel like I could be wrong. NFL UK fans, do let me know in the comments whether you disagree with that. But certainly, yeah, I feel like they are a team that all Brits should root for. Unless I said before, unless you are a Texans, Colts, or a Titans fan. Brad, back to you for week 6. It's at home for the Detroit Lions.
To be honest, I think it's going to be a win. This I'll cut straight to the chase. I think the Lions had a bit more of a favourable schedule last year that kind of propped them up a little bit more, and made them look a lot better than what they actually were. But they were fun to watch last year. Don't get me wrong; they were a good team to watch. They were a lot more fun to watch than what the Chiefs were during the season. Put it that way. But I just think with the Lions, I think they're coming up with a team now that's really kind of looking to really kind of shake off that Super Bowl loss and really kind of turn the screw on this. And I think this is probably the point now where we start seeing the Chiefs playing some really kind of familiar football, what we've seen from the early stage, the early years, the Mahomes era. And I think this is probably going to be the game. Sunday night football as well. It's going to be a really good game. And I think this is where Mahomes shines on this one.
I mean, what a prospect that is. I mean, my favorite music to what like all the Fox music and the CBS music. I love the Sunday night football intro, especially after the bit when they have Carrie Underwood singing, and they have the next bit where they start playing the music, and then it goes towards then Mike Tirico speaking and Chris Collinsworth. That for me, I thought that week 6. I think that'll be post the London game actually. That'll be a hell of a prospect. I think that's going to be one hell of a game. Week 7, David, back with you, and you've got the Las Vegas Raiders. Win, loss, or tie?
The Raiders are going to be the whipping boys of the division again, and I think again this is just going to be a win. I think the fact that the Chargers and the Broncos have strengthened again this year, and then you look at the quarterbacks in the division, and I like Geno Smith, but he's not anything on the other 3 quarterbacks in this division. I just think it again, this is a layup. And granted, they nearly had us last year, but for a muffed snap, which is one of the most ridiculous snaps I've ever seen.
Crazy, right?
But yeah, I just can't see anything other than a win, especially at home.
Yeah, my brother's a Raiders fan. He was obviously that game was on a Saturday night as well. It was the Black Friday, not Saturday. It was on Black Friday, and I remember he was telling me about when I saw him next. He was telling me how it'd been such a difficult season for the Raiders, and they thought they were going to finally beat the Chiefs, and it might have been an Arrowhead actually as well. And I remember this. He was saying he stayed up for it as well. He didn't have work the next day, and then to have the way it went, and right at the end, Aidan O'Connell messed it up.
They had the game in their hands. That was the time to win. It was
ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Well, week 8 is back to you, Brad, and it's a home game against the Washington Commanders.
I'm getting all the tough ones here, aren't I? The Commanders, they're a sneaky good team. Really, again, another fun team to watch, a bit like the Lions. And they've got a shiny new quarterback, and they've got one of the best wide receivers in the league in Terry McLaurin as well, which I love watching that guy play, and I always try and get him on my fantasy team. It's going to be a tough one, that one. It's going to be a good showdown between 2 quarterbacks there, 2 youngish quarterbacks.
I mean, Monday night football as well, Brad.
Exactly, and I think that's probably going to be the edge for it, because I think Mahomes likes to get up for these Monday night games, and I think that's going to be the edge for it. But I think the Commanders, you can't really count them out this year. They're going to be a sneaky good team, but I'm going to chalk it up as a win. I'm going to be confident this time.
Okay, now Dave, you got your first tough game on paper to predict. On the road for the last time potentially in the whole of NFL history, you'll be taking on a game in Highmark Stadium and against Buffalo Bills.
And it ends the same every year. It ends the same every year. It's always a loss, and then we play them in the playoffs and beat them in the playoffs. So I'm going to go with that again. I'm going to go with history. I'm going to say it's a loss during the regular season, but a win in the postseason.
Just give them the win in the season. Yeah.
Just give them something, before they get ultimately heartbroken in the playoffs.
I always think the Bills are phenomenal during the season. Anyway, they're a juggernaut during the season.
Yeah,
and then they come to the playoffs and they just seem to, I don't know what it is. They just seem to get in their heads, I think. But I think Dave's prediction there is spot on. It just seems to be the same old every year. If we win that game, I'll be worried.
Actually, I never thought of that way. Actually, maybe it's a good thing to lose. So week 10 is a bye week. So then week 11, back to you, Dave. Back to you, Brad. Is a road game against the Denver Broncos.
Yeah. Again, this could be a team that is kind of going to be. I'm predicting they're going to be on our coattails this year in the AFC West. I think the Broncos are going to be a good team. They're going to really kind of push us all the way. Really, I think they seem to have sorted out a lot of the defensive issues, I suppose, towards the end of last year. And I think. Yeah, they are gaining traction. I think there's a lot of talking heads talking about them as being a strong contender for the division title. They have improved. They've strengthened the likes of the trenches, and obviously they've got a really good defense as well. I think that it's going to be a tough game, but will they win the first game? Probably not.
Bye week is the thing for me, Brad. That it's after a bye week, and we know what Andy Reid's like after a bye week.
Exactly. I think the Chiefs will still have it, and I think from what I was saying before, with Mahomes kind of kicking on from the Lions game this year, I think it's going to be a strong showing from this offense. I think this is where we start gathering pace from this offense and really kind of seeing it open up a bit more.
Okay, so week 12, back to you, Dave, is a game against the Indianapolis Colts. Win, lose, or tie.
Every year, apart from maybe last year, because obviously we went 15-1. I never count that last game. Other than last year, there's always like a banana skin game. There's one year where we lost to the Colts. There was a year where we lost to the Giants or something like that. Like there's always a game like that. I feel like this. I'm going to say win, but I feel like this could be one of those games where if we're not careful, we take the eye off the ball a little bit. That could be like a potential. I'm earmarking that as the potential banana skin game.
Okay,
ultimately I'm going to say win.
So next up is Thanksgiving as you take on a trip to Texas and face the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an easy win for the Chiefs, this one. I think the Cowboys have been coughing and spluttering for quite a number of seasons now. And I don't know what it is. They seem to be paying Dak Prescott a heck of a lot of money each time. Don't know why. I think the Chiefs will just have the number on this. I think this will be one of those kind of almost like a blowout game for the Chiefs on this one.
Okay, so then week 14, back to you, David, is a home game against the Houston Texans.
This is a Sunday night football game as well, so I think with that in mind, I'm probably going to say Chiefs win, but I think it'll be extremely close. I think they're improving year on year, the Texans, and I think their quarterback's the real deal. He really is, but I think the Chiefs are legit, and again, as Brad alluded to, I think this could be like the run-in, with the focusing on that one seed, especially because I think the top end of the AFC is going to be really, really close this year. And I think that when they're owning in on that, especially under the lights on Sunday, I think it'll be a win.
Okay, so then week 15, Brad, is a home game against the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, I think it's chalking up for a win. I know people keep saying about Jim Harbaugh, and obviously he's winning seasons and things like that, and obviously a phenomenal coach as well. But I think the reliability of his QB, Justin Herbert, I don't know. I think it feels like Justin Herbert is almost like the forgotten quarterback at the moment. There's not many people really kind of raising his name as one of the top quarterbacks in the league at the minute. He's serviceable. He's a good enough for that. But I don't think he's one of those players that is has got almost like a clutch performance in him. So I think that's the thing that's kind of hampering the Chargers. Yeah, they've improved on the roster and things like that. But I don't know. I've always had this issue with Justin Herbert. He's not really shown me that he can take a game on his own back. I think he relies on the team a heck of a lot more than what he really should. So I think the Chiefs will win this one.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any clutch moment from him at all. You think about the Texans game in the most recent playoffs, where he was pretty bad. He threw for as many picks, maybe more picks in that one game than the entire of the regular season put together. I remember there was a game against the Jags where Lawrence threw for 4 picks and they were miles ahead, and then they came back and lost it. And you can't even blame that on the coaching now, because you could have blamed on Anthony Lynn or Brandon Staley before, but Jim Harbaugh's a good head coach, and I think there's definitely, if it happens again this year, they don't win a playoff game, maybe they should win, or they don't play very well, then I think there'll be, a lot more questions asked. Week 16 is your penultimate road game of the season, and Dave, this is against the Tennessee Titans and first overall pick Cam Ward.
Yeah, it's a win. That's a win. I think the Titans. I don't see a big challenge at all there, even on the road. Yeah, win.
Okay, so then week 17, Brad, your final prediction and the Chiefs' final home game of the regular season. You're taking on Christmas Day, the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a loss on this. Christmas Day does not seem to sit well with us on this, and I think the Broncos will have the tails up. I think it'd be one of those games that makes it quite close for the AFC West title, and I think the Broncos will be ready for that. Like I said, I think they've improved a lot this year, so I think the Chiefs would probably be having one eye on the playoffs at this stage, and yeah, they might just squeaky defeat on this one. I think with the Broncos.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I had Denver winning that one as well. And I think, like you said, Christmas Day doesn't necessarily agree with the Chiefs, and I'm not quite sure with the turnaround as well. But usually in that period, there's usually quite a short turnaround in games and stuff. Last year, the turnaround was silly. I think we played, was it like 3 in 12 days or something like that?
Ridiculous, yeah, ridiculous schedule last year.
So I don't know whether the schedule's a similar sort of thing, but yeah, I'm in agreement with Brad there. I think we'll lose that one.
So then finally, in week 18, you're taking on the road the Las Vegas Raiders.
I think this ultimately depends on where we are in the standings for the AFC, and I think if we're going on what we've said from what me and Brad have sort of chopped out now, I think we're probably still fighting for that 1 seed. So I'm going to go win. If the 1 seed's locked up, then I think it's a loss. But at this point, as we're discussing it, I think it's a win.
Well, there we are. That means that according to your predictions, you'll be finishing with a 13-4 record, which would easily get you in the playoffs, maybe even as the 1 seed or the 2 seed. Where do you think, I'll go to you first, Brad, where do you think the Chiefs will go? How far do you think they'll go in the postseason?
Oh, God. I mean, you never want to sound cocky on this, do you? But I think from what I saw from last year and the way that the Chiefs somehow ground out games and won games, I think there's still that element of that team there, and there's that core element of it. And I think, obviously, with the likes of, we've seen a very much a new and improved Mahomes. I truly believe that as well. I think the workouts he's been doing and getting himself ready for this year, and the fact that as Dave said about Kelsey, getting ready for it and making sure that there's almost like one last dance. I think it's Super Bowl or bust for this team. I think they need to kind of feel like they correct the wrong or right the wrong that actually happened. I actually believe it's going to be Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl again.
Interesting. I like that. Brad, Dave, for you, your prediction for the postseason performance.
Yeah, sort of similar to Brad. It is Super Bowl or bust. The thing with this team as it is now, it's if you don't make the Super Bowl, if you don't win the Super Bowl each year, it's a failure of a season, and that's how it transpired last season. And I don't necessarily think the Eagles will make the Super Bowl again. In fact, I think Washington could challenge them for the divisional title this year. So I don't necessarily think that it'll be Chiefs Eagles. I think if it was Chiefs Eagles, then I'd probably be a little bit worried again. If I'm being honest, because I think Sirianni played an absolute blinder. But not just that. I think if the Chiefs did get to the Super Bowl, they would have the mental edge over literally any other team in the NFC than the Eagles, and for that reason, I'm quite similar to Brad. I think we'll get to and possibly win the Super Bowl again.
Well, that could easily happen. Now, let's head on to our new segment, which I realised that I actually didn't tell you guys about until during the recording. But we're doing a new segment called Fan Asks Fan. So each fan who comes on will ask the next fan in the episode a question. So our last question came from our last guest, who was Rams fan Sam Andrews, and he wants to ask the question to you guys as to which former player in your team's history would you right now love to have back in your current team? So you can both give me one answer each. Which player are you deciding to pick?
Do you want to go first, David? Or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I'll let you go because I'm trying to think.
Any player at all.
Any player in the team's history, any former player in the team's history that you put into the current team.
For me, it has to be Derek Thomas.
I said this. I was saying this off camera.
It has to be Derek Thomas.
Yeah, I was thinking of two players, and one of them was Derek Thomas.
We have struggled to get the quarterback for a few seasons now. We got the likes of Chris, but I think if we got Chris Jones and we got Derek Thomas in that defensive line, Jesus, come on,
Absolutely fine.
Yeah.
You've put a couple of other names in my head now because I think if you're going that way, Justin Houston would be a good shout as well.
Good shout, yeah. DJ is another one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, but I'm going on the other side of the ball. I think prime Tyreek would be unbelievable.
You're stealing Andy's team player.
I think, yeah, or maybe Tony G. Because can you imagine having prime Tony G with Kelsey as a secondary? But I think Tyreek could probably be my choice. Tyreek. I was saying that Jamal Charles would be.
I know you go through it, don't you? You go through all of these.
Yeah. Tyreek. I'm gonna nail my close to the mast. I think prime. If you're getting the player at the prime, then probably Tyreek Hill. Because I don't think in the history of the NFL, there's many players as dynamic as Tyreek.
Yeah, absolutely. He on his day, he's so electric, and I'm hoping that Prime comes back for maybe one more year if everyone's healthy. But it's I do feel that the decline has already happened. So now I'll give you guys power to ask our next guest a question. Now, it can be either of you. I'll let you choose amongst yourselves who asks the question to our next guest. This could be about the Chiefs, about the NFL, whichever you like. Feel free to ask the question to our next guest.
I've got a question, unless you had one, Brad.
No, go for it, Dave. Yeah, go for it.
I'd be interested to know what got them into the NFL, and B, how did they decide what team they were going to follow?
Okay, I like that. Well, that'll be found out in our next team season preview. That'll be coming up with the day after this podcast is published. And there we are. That is where we will end this podcast for today. So, first of all, thank you, David. Thank you, Brad, for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
No problem at any time.
Great stuff. Well, this has been the Chiefs 2025 season preview on the Across the Pod NFL podcast. I have been, as ever, your host, Andy Davis, with our guest today in Chiefs fans, David and also Brad. And we'll see you guys for our next Chiefs season preview. Take care.